All right, you're not going crazy. It's the Parker brothers back at you again. Don't you think they love hearing us twice in 1 week?
I'm sure they do, especially me, who's the most handsome, the most debonair.
I'm sure they have better things to do.
I'm sure there are better things to do.
Why?
We probably are more entertaining than that debate was last night. That's all
Oh
I got to
God,
say.
absolutely, by 1,000%.
It's like watching paint dry.
Ooh, but let's talk about it, y'all. Let's get into this VP debate. This is our little special little comeback to you as we break down our thoughts on the vice presidential debate. And to kick it off, I'm gonna share some things with you, guys. A survey that CBS did, a post debate survey that was done with about 1,630 people that they conducted with this survey, just to get some thoughts after the debate, and from there, we just kick it off with our discussion and our thoughts. But to
Sounds
break it down with who won the debate, 42% said JD Vance, 41% said Tim Walz, and 17% said a tie. The tone of the debate, 88% said it was generally positive, 12% said generally negative. At the debate, they mostly sounded reasonable. 74% said so for Walls, and 65% said so for Vance. Who sounded extreme? 26% said Walls sounded extreme. 35% said Vance did. If needed, are they prepared to be president? Prepared, 60% said so for Walls. 55% said so for Vance. Not prepared, 40% for Walls, 45% for Vance. Who did a better job talking about these issues? So the issue of abortion, 62% Walls, 38% Vance. Healthcare, 59% Walls, 41% Vance. Conflict in the Middle East, they thought it was dead even at 50. Economy, 49% Walls, 51% Vance. Immigration, 48% Walls, 52% Vance. Thought that was a little interesting on that one. Opinion of Tim Walls, 52% generally see him as favorable before the debate, 60% saw so afterwards. So he had a little bump. Unfavorable, 41 before, 35 afterwards, which makes sense. It would go down. And haven't heard enough, 6% said before the debate they haven't heard enough, 5% said so afterwards. The opinion of JD Vance, favorable before the debate was 40%, afterwards was 49%. Before the debate, unfavorable 54%, 47% afterwards, and haven't heard enough 7% before, and 4% afterwards. And the last one was is split what they spent most of their time doing. So 54% said Walls spent most of his time explaining his own views. 45% said the same with Vance, and 46% say Wall spent more time criticizing the other side than explaining his own views. And 55% said Vance did that. So those are some little post debate survey little things there. I don't know if anything there strikes any of you guys or whatever. Anything is surprising? Is it right on par? But let's just jump into it with some thoughts of what we had on this VP debate.
Well, I thought Waltz was a lot nervous, especially early on. Um, he had a couple gaffes out there early on, and um, it took him a little while to warm up. But once he warmed up, he he seemed uh, pretty in tune and invigorated, and um, you know, abortion he did well. I think he did well on you know talking about the January 6th incident,
Mhm.
and I think he did well as far as challenging Vance on the issue of the 2020 election and Trump actually conceding or not conceding. And
Yeah, that was a big. I think that's like one of the major takeaway moments from it
yeah,
right there at the end.
and he had some funny facial expressions during that exchange.
He did.
He's kind of funny to look at when he's in a debate because he's got some weird facial expressions. But I, like I said, I think he started off a little rocky, um, but he came on that in the end. Vance, I think, is just a trained politician. He's
Hmm.
slippery, smooth with his delivery. He was definitely the more polished out of the two, but really didn't have a whole lot of substance. He was caught in a couple of lies there. He just really wouldn't even answer a couple questions, especially the question about the 2020. It was still lackluster for me because really neither of them matter. Like, what does the vice president do?
You know what's so funny about that? It's like I don't understand how, and I guess they understand that they know people. I don't want to say just aren't that smart or don't know, but I don't know how the attack line of she's been in office the last 3.5 years. Why hasn't she done it?
The only thing she could do is uh, break the tie.
Right? How is that a winning argument? I don't understand how that's a winning line. Like it
And
doesn't even
They
make
took
any
civics out
sense.
of schools.
I mean, they've joked about vice president, the vice presidency for the longest. When even when John Adams was a vice,
Right,
they joked about him. So it was man.
man. What about you, Carlin? What was your takeaways?
I agree with Carl. Mr. Walls was definitely he seems like somebody that crammed for a test. Like they gave him so much information in debate prep that he was in his head at the very beginning. And I think after the first break, he said, forget that. I'm just going to be myself. And that's the approach they really should have taken from the very beginning. I blame the debate prep. Just have him be himself. To me, he's Joe Biden. And the thing we love about Joe Biden is that he's like us. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to fumble. He's going to screw something up. But at the end of the day, we feel like he's one of us, so to speak, in
Hmm.
terms of the relatability of it. So I think that's why he had higher relatability scores because he didn't seem like a politician like JD Vance did. JD Vance really, I think, benefited from preparation and time. He's somebody who cannot think on the move. Like when he's live out in action in person, he's very, very insecure and he's
Awkward.
and very awkward. Yeah. But this was a shining moment for him because he was able to come off as if he was smart, even though he wasn't saying anything smart. And like my brother said, it was like no substance. Like it sounded good, but it's like a bunch of word salads. Um, but he got caught up in huge lies. And the biggest one was the ACA one to me.
Oh my god,
Said that Trump saved the ACA.
I was
I
so
mean,
confused.
come on now. That was hilarious. So, yeah, his I think his faux pas were so bad and glaring that it diminished any kind of gains that he had in terms of not of looking less creepy than he normally does.
I agree. Like I feel like if you're a person who doesn't follow politics or anything, and you're just kind of tuning in, like you're gonna be like, "Oh, this guy's okay,"
He's
you
like Mitt
know.
Romney. Yeah.
Uh huh.
He's a Mitt Romney
Like
Republican.
yeah, and just don't realize, and the fact that they wasn't fact checking, even when they fact checked them that one time, he was like, "Hold up, y'all, that's not the rules. Y'all said y'all weren't
Right.
gonna fact check.
Exactly.
Like, what's going on when it's about immigration?" Yeah, if you're not following closely, he would come off. This is how people get food. by the used car salesman, by the slit talker, his Yale education coming into
Right.
play. He's just, fast talking and saying a bunch of nothing, like y'all are saying, and just lying, lying, lying. The ACA one, when you brought that up, I was just so confused. Like, how did we get here now that Trump saved Obamacare? And then whenever Walz was pressing him, which I thought was a good moment for Walz, was talking about healthcare and how he made it kind of relatable just to the average person and breaking
Mhm.
it down, like, because he's worked in this forever. He's like, no, what you are explaining is before we had Obamacare. This is why we got
Exactly.
the ACA. And when they asked him, like, how would you protect pre-existing conditions, he was like, well, we already have laws in place and we would just keep those. That's the ACA. Like, what are we talking about?
What are
Like,
we talking about here? Yeah,
I'm
he was
just
not smart at all. When he's pressed, he's not smart. And also, I thought his abortion stance was really ridiculous. When he
oh
his
my god.
audio tape of him
On
saying this
tape.
is actually on his actual campaign when he ran for Senate on his website in actual writing. It's like so many facts to back up that he's willing to make abortion. I mean, to disqualify abortion for the nation. So he's just a ridiculous person. He's very unserious to be in a serious position.
I feel like this guy has reinvented himself like a million times.
Yes,
I've seen so many different JD Vances. And I feel like the JD Vance that is out here now, this debate didn't capture because the debate was serious. And like you said, he's such an like the things that what makes him popular are all these culture war things and his
hmm
stances and those extreme things. And none of those things were kind of approach. I felt like that might have been a little bit of a miss. I feel like there were ways to work in more attacks of JD Vance and Walls in with some of these questions and press some of the things that he has said
thank you.
and
That's
and
the
work
biggest
that in.
criticism.
I just felt like they just kind of left a lot of stuff just there on the cutting room floor. There, just I don't know if that was a conscious choice, but Walls doesn't seem like that person. He almost doesn't seem like a combative person either.
Oh, he's very folksy and neighborly. He was agreeing with him way too much for me. For someone that you're diabolically opposed to, it was too much he was trying to say that we can work together with and I can agree with. I don't want to agree with white nationals. I'm sorry. I don't want to agree with people
Right.
who want to overturn the government. No, I want him to be a little bit more aggressive, more assertive, and really, like you said, be on the attack when it was time to attack him. So that
Yeah,
was a
that
missed
balance.
opportunity.
I don't know. I think it was a little bit by design. Like you said, they are diametrically opposed, but I think they wanted to come off as not being divisive and more reaching across the aisle and
Hmm.
Oh, yeah,
trying
it's clear. Yeah, it was
to.
clearly point. Yeah.
And
I,
so, but I think I'm with you guys though. I think he could have been on the offensive a lot more than what he was. I think he just laid back entirely too much. There were plenty of times that he could have really just demolished Vance if he would have just went out there and got on the offensive.
Absolutely. And I just feel like the immigration one was just a glaring big one. Like that's just been everybody knows the things that they've been saying and
Yeah.
going out
oh,
there
he should
like
have ate him up about
you
Springfield. How he did not eat him up about that, I do not understand.
I don't understand because I get it and I agree. I do think it is by design, and I just don't know if I agree with that design. Like I don't it
It's a
it
lot
has to
I
be
didn't
more
agree
of
with.
a
Yeah.
balance there.
Now
Like we all played sports and had
we would
coaches. So
take offense to that more so than Waltz would, because we see the angle that they're choosing. We don't need to go on that tangent.
I think I know where you might be going.
right.
Yeah,
To see that. But with your earlier assessment, I think what is going to really be remembered for is the non-admission of Trump
yes.
like losing the election. Like who wants
Yeah.
that? and that's just putting into play everything that we've been talking about, that we're fearing about. Like,
Tell it's
they're
there.
leaving that door open.
They're giving us the signs.
Like, do you know why you're even here, dude? Hello?
Yeah.
Do you know why you're even on the ticket?
And he knows, but
They wanted to hang the other guy.
and I don't know, like he's bold to be kind of filling that position for real, because if you don't stay in line with Trump, oh, they're gonna come for you.
Hello?
Like, was Pence not? I don't know how anybody was to be that man's running mate. Like the way these people are.
I don't see how Vance is his running mate. The stuff he said about
The
Trump.
stuff he has said, and how they just like conveniently, like how he conveniently just is like, oh, I changed my mind, huh?
And his sons endorsed him. That's the
But
crazy thing about it.
yeah, but just I know this makes entirely too much sense, but what's wrong with being fact checked when you're?
I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, why are you there? I feel like that's the job of a
Apparently, being a
moderator. You're a
journalist, you can only
journalist.
ask questions. You don't have to. You can't fact check on top of it. Apparently, it's too much to ask for.
I mean,
I didn't know
When
that was hard.
this is spread into like 43 million watch last night. It's one of the lower. It's not the highest rated. It's not the
yeah,
lowest, but wasn't the highest. But that's a lot of people
Yes.
watching.
yeah. I think. I mean, you got to hold people accountable when they just flat out lie.
And they snuck in a couple, and some were like very sneaky. They snuck in a sneaky one about climate change and
Yeah,
stuff with a real quick statement about like what most scientists say. With the immigration, they they was like, thank you for describing the legal process. That's not
Yeah.
what we were asking.
That was a read.
They were throwing in a couple little sharp reads,
Hmm.
but I don't understand that choice not to fact check and having that as a rule. That doesn't.
but I, I would be ashamed to even say, "Hey, the rules are you can't fact check me when I know I'm lying."
Well, yeah, you know the
They have
reason
no
why.
shame.
These networks have made so much money off of Donald Trump. They're afraid
That's
to
true.
appear to be moving to the left, just in case he does win. They want to be out there hanging out to dry. So it's all about dollars and cents.
So disingenuous,
So
and
disingenuous.
Absolutely. Well, all I know is we don't need another VP debate. I'm sure there won't be another one and only.
goodness,
Y'all think there would be another presidential debate, or y'all think it's no
Oh
shot?
hell no!
man,
So
that's good.
he's already turned down 60 minutes. Like he's turning
That's true.
everything down.
He after that, after getting lambasted like he did, he don't want no more of that.
No.
Yeah. And then last thing I just have, do y'all think independent, do you think this debate did anything to move an independent needle or an undecided needle?
Nope, because I'm unaffiliated, and it ain't moved me not one bit.
The only thing I think it helped was JD Vance's image. If you're not used to if you're not into politics like that, you come off thinking, oh, he's not so slimy.
Yeah,
That's the only thing that it helps. But I think Tim Walz did a good job of making sure that he was highlighting the candidate, which you should do.
Yeah.
So, my brother said, I don't think it moved anybody whatsoever.
And I think if you whoever you're voting for, you think won. Like I think Walls won because just the fact that Vance just lied.
He
He
lied.
just lied just about
Right.
every answer. It was just a lie.
A
Like,
lie.
and I agree with y'all, like with the assessment of when he warmed up and when he really got into it, he got into it. And he had his stumbles and he had his things that he couldn't explain, which was like the weird 20-something year ago thing they brought up. But that was
yeah,
just a weird answer. And he had his mix ups that people are trying to twist. We know he said friends with school shooters, but that's not what he meant in
yeah.
the
That was
context of what he was
half
saying.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a gaff. He has some, minor
He's
things
Joe
like that.
Biden. He's Joe Biden Jr.
Yeah,
yeah.
but Over, I thought he won on the substance. He gave substance, if that's what you say you're looking for.